What's up? My name's Semi. Let's take a look at episode 4 of Lord of the Mysteries. Also, the subs have been saying Grey Mist, but a bunch of you told me that it's actually called the Grey Fog, so I'll be referring to it as that from now on. Alright, let's start the video. Why is this almost 40 minutes? Pray for me. Anyways, let's get on to episode 4. We see this random guy groveling, praying to God he does not get cooked by the guy he is speaking with, who he refers to as Lord Oracle. He's getting reprimanded for allowing the Nighthawks to get a hold of the Antigonus notebook and not even coming back with any information. The guy we see is just begging for mercy, saying, "We did not betray the Aurora Order. We were just too stupid to figure anything out, so we gave it to a bunch of history students to study it." First question, how did bro think that was a good idea? Second question, how cooked is bro right now? Somehow this Lord Oracle forces him to bite 2 of his fingers off, and then this puny motherfucker says that he'll find the notebook's secrets from Klein, and Lord Oracle says, "This is your last chance." Bold of this guy to assume Klein knows anything at all. We're then taken to HQ, where Neil teaches Klein about ritual magic. Neil explains that ritual magic is generally used by low-sequence beyonders to utilize external power. To perform a ritual, you need to arrange the items required and recite an incantation. Before demonstrating, Neil says that the most important thing about ritual magic is to never communicate with unknown entities or you will die. Klein's just like, couldn't be me. Then we get a demo by the old man himself. He first creates a wall of spirituality because rituals require an area of spiritual purity. Also, when they say spirituality, it pretty much seems like a mana system. Neil then uses this oil to make the candles blue, recites a ritual to get the Evernight goddess's power, and prays for the payment of a 30-pound bill. What? What? Then Klein and Neil start walking around and Neil is just like, "Just wait," and finds a fucking wallet on the ground. Ain't no way this shit actually worked. But then a guy comes by and says, "That's my wallet." Klein's making this "what you gonna do now" face, and Neil gives the wallet, but for his honesty, the man straight up gives him the 30 pounds he prayed for. What? Klein is flabbergasted.
All I know is I gotta try this in real life.
After his little stunt and seeing Klein's resignation, Neil says, "Don't you know the motto of the Mystery Priors? Do as you wish, but do not harm." Based on what Neil said, Klein is reminded of something in Roselle's diary.
That the key to the potions is digesting and acting.
The motto of the Mystery Priors seems to be some sort of acting. He also remembers that he felt the digestion of the seer potion and guesses that it was because he divined multiple times in battle as a sort of acting as a seer. That's when he gets approached by a member of the Tingan Divination Club, and he gets its tarot cards read again. The cards read that in the short term, Klein cannot return to the place he wants to go, but in the long term, it is possible. This is essentially Klein's confirmation that it is possible to get back to Earth. Klein then tells the diviner to go to a doctor, since he sees an issue with the guy's lungs. The diviner asks if he's a doctor or something, but then he reveals himself as a seer. Klein thinks that it would be beneficial for him as a seer to join the club with that whole acting as a seer stuff, and joins the club for 5 pounds. 5 pounds?! What kind of a pyramid scheme are they running? Then bro is like, "Thank God for the reimbursement system." So I guess he's gonna try to get reimbursed for it being a business expense or something like that. Then we see a brown-haired girl walking by, seemingly interested in the receptionist mentioning our last name Moretti. This will be relevant later. The receptionist then says, "You must be the excellent seer that Mr. Vincent, our best diviner, foresaw coming this morning." Apparently Klein is a little late, and Vincent's lesson about mirror divination is about to end. But Klein walks up to the room to take a look anyways. We get a glimpse of the lesson, and Vincent talks about using 3-fold incantations to call upon the 7 orthodox beings. By the way, these orthodox beings are beings like the Evernight goddess that Neil called upon earlier. Klein asserts that there's no need to report to Dunn and raid Mr. Vincent's place at midnight. What? What is bro talking about? Like, chill out, Klein. Nobody's doing anything right now. Once the lesson ends, Klein sees Vincent hand a red-haired girl a box, and Klein immediately thinks something's off, but lets it go since he doesn't have much information. Vincent invites Klein in, and he's able to vaguely comment on Klein's experience in the previous episodes. Klein then asks how he can get out of his predicament, aka return back home, and Vincent says that the divination gave him 2 words, gathering and family. The divination is completed and Klein leaves. But then we see one last shot of Vincent, now alone, revealing his left hand. I'm sure you can make the connection. This is the guy in the beginning that bit off 2 of his fingers and declared his pursuit of Klein's knowledge of the Antigonus notebook. We then cut to Klein trying to figure things out with all this digestion and acting stuff. He refers to the Code of Seers to find out how to act more like one, and he figures out that the core of acting is being seen as a respectable seer. So to further digest the potion, Klein must succeed in divination incantation and receive thanks and rewards. This way he'll be seen as a better seer. Klein then starts to think about how to get home, and logically it must have to do with the gray fog. So with this in mind, Klein narrows his immediate actions down to two options. Either further advance and digest his Beyonder powers in hopes that his powers will allow him to control the gray fog, or modify the luck enhancement ritual to let the incantation point to Klein, thus connecting Klein and the gray fog, potentially allowing him to borrow the gray fog's power. Klein decides on the latter since the former would take too much time, so he writes a threefold incantation to point to himself. A threefold incantation. The incantations used for the 7 orthodox beings. Not gonna lie, bro is low-key full of himself. I mean, how is this incantation even gonna work? After he finishes, Klein burns the paper he was writing on, and we get this ominous clip of eyes turning and gears activating. Klein opens the door, and it's just Melissa with a little machine she made. Why was that so ominous? She said that if we ever feel troubled, to just watch the machine move a bit and we'll feel better. Melissa's so nice, but why the fuck did they make it seem like something bad was about to happen? Melissa tells Klein that her friend invites their family to her birthday party on Sunday. Klein, thinking about Vincent's divination with the two words family and gathering, agrees. But first, it's tarot club time! Also, I'll refer to everyone by their code names until they actually introduce themselves to each other. Immediately after everyone is there, Klein uses spirit vision and sees Hanged Man as surging blue seawater and Justice as serene as a lake. It seems that the spirit vision is enhanced above the gray fog and is able to see the Beyonder pathways of the other Tarot Club members. In addition, the deal that Justice and Hangman made in episode 1 has been completed. If you don't remember, Justice made a deal with Hangman for one of his Beyonder potion recipes, and as of current, she is now a Beyonder on the Spectator pathway. Klein, being the big boss, issues his congratulations and somehow sees the symbols for each person's pathway. Hangman being on the Sailor pathway and Justice being on the Spectator pathway. His own seer symbol, however, seems to be incomplete. After a little silence, Klein allows the other members of the Tarot Club to speak. Bro is actually playing them like a fiddle. Justice says she has 3 questions. Firstly, what should she know as a spectator? Hangman essentially tells her to act like a spectator, to always act detached and always spectate in order to grasp everyone's true thoughts. Hangman also says to master her abilities and find the symbolic meanings of the potion names to minimize the chance of going mad. Klein interjects and pretty much just corrects the Hanged Man with what he learned from Roselle's notebooks. And Eureka! Hangman seems to figure out something based on what Klein said and thanks him, saying that his advice is as precious as his life. Honestly, at this point, Klein is just treating Roselle's notebooks as the law. Moving on, Justice's second question is, hypothetically, if an animal swallowed a Sequence 9 potion, what would happen? Hangman and Klein are just flabbergasted, like the fuck is she doing? Then we get a clip of Justice's dog, Susie, drinking her potion while Justice isn't looking. Hangman says, well, it'd probably either die or turn into a monster on the spot, but if neither happens, it would become a Beyonder. So I guess Justice just has a Beyonder dog. Justice's last question is about the lone nobility, and that the people in their government are too stupid, leading to inefficiency and social unrest. Y'all remember this presidential debate?
She challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards.
Klein says the goofiest shit I think I've heard all week. He says to hold a high-level examination open to everyone, and select reliable talent to serve the kingdom called Gaokao. If you're not familiar, Gaokao is essentially like China's version of the SAT, except the scores quite literally determine your future. So bro just pulls a Roselle and brings the horrific Gaokao to this world. The subs call Gaokao world exams, so I'll refer to it as world exams from now on. Justice responds saying, you are truly a wise elder. What is this glaze? Klein is for real still faking it until he makes it. Then says that the advice regarding world exams was an advance payment for his 2 requests. The first being for Justice and Hangman to gather Roselle's secret diaries. Hangman is immediately shocked because nobody knows what these notebooks are, and Klein just casually declares them as diaries. Hangman comes to the conclusion that Klein can somehow read these notebooks. The second request is for Hangman and Justice to use ritual magic to pray for good dreams, and to do this every Sunday. If the ritual is successful, Klein wants them to make minor adjustments each time. So what's the incantation? Then he recites his 3-fold incantation. The fool that does not belong to this era. You are the mysterious ruler above the gray fog. You are the king of yellow and black, who wields good luck. Hearing that the incantation is threefold, Justice and Hangman are like, what the fuck? This guy is on par with the 7 orthodox beings? And Hangman says that if the threefold incantation can actually point to him, then they gotta refer to Klein as he, like they call God in the Bible. What is happening? What is this D1 glaze? Klein ends the meeting, and these 4 dots fade from the back of his hand. Apparently, this is a shortcut to the luck enhancement ritual that skips the part where he needs the bread in 4 corners of the room. As the last thought regarding the gray fog, Klein is just like, I hope these rituals don't disturb the actual being the gray fog is correlated with, and then we get to see some family time with Benson and Melissa. It's Sunday, the day of Melissa's friend's birthday. I'm not sure how they got from Monday to Sunday so fast because the Tarot Club meetings are on Monday, but I guess they're just hanging out. Anyways, Klein and Benson help Melissa find a dress and then head over to the location of the party. And what the fuck? Isn't that the girl with the box from the Divination Club? Shit, that's the other girl. Birthday girl doesn't recognize us, but the brunette definitely does. Before heading inside, Klein feels Hangman starting the ritual. And damn, that food is getting me hungry. The brunette, her name's Elizabeth, walks up to Klein and tells him that she won't tell anyone of him being a seer. But then Melissa walks over, assuming Klein is trying to rizz up Elizabeth, and Melissa's like, bruh, she's only 16. Yo, chill out, Melissa, what are you thinking about? Soon after, it turns night and the girls are in birthday girl's room. Her name's Selena, by the way. Selena opens the box that Vincent gave her, and it's apparently a high-level magic mirror, made specially for her. Even if we didn't know Vincent was evil, isn't that just kinda creepy? Vincent even taught her an incantation meant to bolster the accuracy of her divinations. How kind! She starts the incantation, and Klein feels something is off. Then we see Vincent in the room we saw in the beginning, his mirror lighting up green just like Selena's mirror. Yeah, Vincent is definitely that Aurora Order guy who was getting beat up by his boss. Klein goes upstairs to see where the girls are, and looks in the room to see what's going on and sees something strange in the mirror. Klein's like, fuck, no time to call for help. I need to summon the Evernight Goddess's power with a ritual. Klein grabs the materials from a random room. Selena transforms into a monster seemingly controlled by Vincent, and Klein uses a sleeping talisman, buying him enough time to perform the ritual. Not gonna lie, Klein actually goes crazy here. After enhancing his dagger with the ritual and swinging it around, Vincent feels the interference from Klein and uses his blood to strengthen his connection to Selena. Selena launches a projectile, but for the first time in his life, Klein shoots it and destroys it before it hits the ritual materials. Klein then takes aim with his gun and misses Selena. Of course he does. Selena does some Zenze shit with her hair and pins Klein down, her hair draining away Klein's spirituality. Then Vincent asks, what did you find in the Antigonus notebook? Holy shit, is Selena balding? Klein's about to pass out because of his draining spirituality, but he hears a voice. Justice has started her ritual, and somehow her incantation inadvertently caused interference in the connection between Selena and Vincent through the gray fog and Klein's spirituality. Vincent sacrifices the rest of his arm to strengthen the connection. Before Vincent is able to take back control, Klein prays to the Evernight Goddess to purify Selena, casting out whatever thing inhabited her body, and finally, Klein shoots the mirror and completely severs the connection. Yeah. So Klein decides he can't put his family in danger like this again, so he decides to never tell Benson and Melissa about his true occupation. Then we see Vincent in his room, getting a visit from Sid Kagano, and is brutally murdered. We skip forward to a bit when Klein is telling Dunn about Vincent and a potentially new secret organization interested in the Antigonus notebook. And we know that's the Aurora Order. And the episode ends with Dunn seeing some vision of a one-eyed chained entity hanging from the sky. This shit is ominous as fuck, but hey, it looks cool. Anyways, that was episode 4. Hope you enjoyed. That was honestly the best episode yet. We see Klein going crazy at the end. Bro is using his mind to the fullest. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. See you later.